2 years ago, I experienced a lot of friendship fallouts, just relationships that I thought were gonna be for the long run, just crumbling right in front of me. Around that time, I probably cut out completely around 90% of the people I knew back then. I saw so many friendships switching up on me, but it also made me realize that I never really experienced feeling safe in any like romantic relationship or in a friendship group. Neither the guys that I have dated or had situationships with, or also like any of the group of friends that I've been involved with, I never had this feeling of safety. I have been involved in many friend groups and I have never had this feeling of safety yet. Like in high school now, like my rowing crew in college know, this friend group from New York also know, even family. And this made me wonder, is it possible to feel safe completely in a friend group? Like, no expectation, no hidden agenda, no games. Is it possible to feel like that in a group of people? Because I definitely know the feeling of safety in like a one-on-one relationship. I can definitely feel safe with just one friend, that whenever it's just like clean energy, there's no like hidden agenda, nothing weird behind it. It's just like two people enjoying each other's company. But yeah, it's such a good feeling, but I don't think I ever experienced this in like a group of friends. There's always been this weird energy in it. In every single group that I have been with, there's been this like mean girl gossipy energy. And this mean girl gossipy energy that I'm going to talk about, it's not like from any group specifically. You can see it in a group of girls, in the gay community, even in straight men. Like there's no one specific group. You can see it, it's like the same energy but in different people. I feel like this hits you at a time where you become aware of all of this. To me, it happened to me that I realized this, it was like all at the same time. It was like my friend group, it was in the office space, and I thought it was like this happened to me whenever I was living in New York, and I realized this, and how all these people were not seeing me in a good light, and there was like so much drama and gossip around it. And I thought it was like that environment, like that problem from that environment. But then I went back home to Paraguay, which is from where I'm from. But then I realized again it was like the same energy but in different people. And I think this is the part of spirituality that a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people only think of like they kind of romanticize spirituality and the spiritual journey and becoming aware like this all love and light, and it's gonna be like this amazing ascension, which can be very beautiful, but no one talks about how it can be really painful to really see the truth, like people for who they are, and like just seeing it through how they see you. People don't talk about how spirituality is a lot about also protection and knowing how to set boundaries, letting go. And when we talk about letting go, it's also about like people and relationships that you thought you were going to be all your life. It's not avoiding all of this, and it's just like, oh no, you just have to not think about it. You just have to, it's knowing to set boundaries. And yeah, I feel like that's the side of spirituality that most people bypass, I feel like. And when we talk about gossip and like this like gossipy mean girl energy, we're talking about people getting involved in places that are none of their business. Gossiping is talking about someone from your friend group, family, work, community in a way that you wouldn't talk right in front of their faces. And gossip is usually based in incomplete information, speculation, assumption. These people trying to find out what's happening in someone's private life. And the thing is that people tend to trust any gossip, no matter how crazy it sounds. And the thing about gossip, it's that it never comes from confidence. It comes from low self esteem, and it's rooted in insecurities. And the reason why people unconsciously do this is because they get a little validation from talking about the lives of other people. Sometimes they talk about their misery or their personal life, and they feel better about it. Sharing information how others are not doing well in their lives, this is validating in their minds how their lives are doing so much better. Basically, gossip makes them feel better about themselves. That's the thing. Gossiping never comes from confident people. It always comes from insecure people. And the thing is that words are powerful. We are all interconnected to each other. Words have power. And when we speak, what are you putting out in the cosmos? Is it hope? Is it positivity? When you are speaking these things into existence, gossiping, you are not only wasting all your life force energy, leaving you sad, unfulfilled, and tired, but you are also affecting someone else's reality with your unconscious talking. So when we gossip, we are affecting the lives of other people by us speaking ill about them. Not only by bringing these words into existence, but also by affecting the perceptions other people have of them, making them, like the person being talked about, a prisoner of his or her reputation. And that's the thing. I think the hardest thing about all of this, whenever you're going through like a slander and like people gossiping about you, I feel like the hardest part is that it's really easy to when if you're aware of what's going on, it's really easy to be affected by these voices. You're hearing these things, and if like so many people think this about you, you start to ask yourself, what if they're right? And that's whenever you're that's whenever you're fucked. I feel like it's so crucial whenever you're going through this to be so centered within yourself and to ground yourself, to be so connected to yourself that nothing that happening on the external affects you. Like, the more you focus on what you are seeing and what you don't want, the more you're creating it. And yeah, that's the tricky thing about going through something like this. But yeah, a lot of people just bypass all of this. I think, and this is why I wanted to talk about it, because it's not just, oh, just don't think about it. Like, I feel like not a lot of people really talks about how damaging it is gossiping to the lives of other people, how it really affects their reality. And there's science that prove this. I learned about this psychological phenomenon called Rosenthal effect, also called expectation effect or Pygmalion effect. But basically, this can occur when the expectation of one person can shape the reality of another. For example, there was this one experiment that scientists labeled rat cages, and they labeled them as smart rats and dumb rats. And all these rats were just normal, everyday lab rats, but they were presented to this group of researchers. And they told them that they would be working with a specific rat. And these researchers, they believed that they were either working with a very intelligent rat or a very dumb rat. And these researchers, they've been working with the rats for 2 weeks. Basically, they had many experiments going through a maze and things like that. The results were very significant. The smart rats did twice as better as the dumb rats, even though all these rats were basically the same in the beginning of the research. So what does this teach us? that expectation matters. So when we gossip, we are affecting negatively the lives of other people as we are speaking ill about them. Our words are affecting how other people perceive them, and we are creating an undesirable reality for them. Those people that start to have a bad reputation or people just start talking about them, they experience this shift in their reality. And if this is happening to you, you are not crazy. These people in your energy talking about you, this is changing the beliefs other people have of you. A lot of the times people gossip and talk about this just for entertainment. I feel like I know people that they can only be funny or they only think something is funny if they talk about other people. And that's the thing too, like this comes also with like exaggerating stories. And the thing is, if you don't really know what you're talking about, don't talk about it. And that's the thing. I was very aware when this was happening to me, and there were quite a few talking about me. And yeah, I saw my reality just change right in front of me. It's like this shift in the energy from so many people. And yeah, the thing is that this kept only getting worse and worse. And that's the thing. This happened to me whenever I was very at a low point in my life. And it's kind of like a cycle because you're aware of how your reality is shifting and how people are perceiving you, and you are bringing situations in your reality that just reflect back to those people their beliefs that they already have of you. And it's kind of like this loop that like you see it and you feel bad about it and you like bring more into your reality. And it's just it always comes at a time where you are vulnerable in your life, and it's crucial to stay grounded within yourself. You know your intention, you know who you are, and being so grounded in that and not listen to those voices. But yeah, I feel like this wouldn't happen to me today because I feel like I'm much more grounded within myself. And I don't know, I feel like now if like 200 people talk shit about me, I just know myself so well, you know what I mean? Like I'm in a much different place right now. But yeah, and I feel like I'm so much more protected with my own boundaries with people. I am not surrounded myself with so many people that see me not in a good light, because that affects you. But yeah, this time was super interesting. I feel like we can start to notice all of these things when we are very, or when we become very observant of what's happening in our environment. And it was just very interesting how I was attracting a lot of situations in my reality that would just confirm to other people their beliefs that they had of me. But yeah, it was just but yeah, it was just so interesting how the weird situations that I was attracting back then. And I want to make another video about it, but just basically how, like, if a lot of people have their beliefs really set about you, they're so sure of you, they so sure that they figured you out, that you would only keep reflecting back to them their beliefs they have of you. And that's why, I mean, I feel at that time I was doing substances, I was doing like drugs. YouTube, please don't take out this video. This is all for educational purposes only. But yeah, I feel like after that, it was not like from a day to night that I became sober, but I had to become sober because I realized um, I was not in control of the frame of my reality. Because whenever you do substances like drugs, you start becoming less of you and you become more of how everyone else sees you. You are not in control of your reality anymore. And yeah, that was to me super interesting. But this also really helped me to see how a lot of people really saw me. And it can be really hard to see how a lot of people not see you in a good light. Like I was based on these situations, I would see how I don't know, I would be just like, I see how you're seeing me, you know? Like I based on this experience, I see how you're seeing me. You think I'm fake, you think I'm all of this, you know? But yeah, I was thinking about this, and like people who gossip so much, why do you think their energy is so low all the time? It's because they're draining all their life force energy doing things that, I mean, we have a limited time here on earth. Are you really gonna waste your time just affecting other people's lives and just bringing words that about things that you don't even know about into existence? That's the thing. Like, I feel when these things happen, we tend to feel really attacked by it, but we should really feel sorry for them. Like, they're accumulating really bad karma for the next lives, you know? And for us, like the people that are being talked about, it's a huge opportunity for alchemizing all of this, you know? I feel like, I don't know, to me this experience was like a huge catalyst to basically like me elevating myself. But yeah, we have a very limited time here on earth, and life is short. Like, yeah, like we should live more meaningfully, more intentionally, not just talking about other people that we don't know anything about their situation, you know, just gossiping about things that we have no idea about really. But yeah, this is why gossiping it's such a lower vibration frequency. It can be very damaging for the lives of other people. And I have always been someone that can pick up the energy in the room, not just the things that are said, but the things that are unsaid. Just like those verbal cues, those subtle interactions, not just the energy, but the body language, the subtle looks, you know? Yeah, this was a time in my life where all this like drama and gossip just intensified so much. And I feel like it's because YouTube, please don't take this video out. Educational purposes only. Like before all this like drama and like gossip and the all these like people just creating this monster that I was seeing like this monster, and I hated this version that they created. But yeah, this happened after I had a big psychedelic trip just a few months ago, and it just made me realize about all of this. And yeah, but like maybe this is the first time that I was just becoming aware of this. Maybe all my life has been chaos and not feeling safe, and just this was my environment all my life, you know, and maybe even past lives. But yeah, I wanted to talk more about this to go more deep about it. I'm going to bring one example. I have so many examples in so many areas of my life, but I am just going to talk about one of them. But yeah, now I just want to talk about one example of these rumors and gossip, because it's way more than that. I feel like when people start talking bad about you, they keep adding so much stuff and they create like it escalates a lot. But yeah, let's. I just wanted to focus on one thing. When this thing happened, one of the things that people were talking about and like rumors and like gossip is that I had internalized homophobia basically. And this is the craziest thing is like I was already out, I was already living my gay life in New York, and that's the craziest thing. Like I came out more than 2 years before this situation. And my coming out was pretty easy. I mean, my sister, she came out like 7 8 years before me. um so yeah, my coming out experience was pretty easy. But it's crazy how later, it was like 2 years and a half when this thing happened, that people were starting making rumors about this. And that's the thing, whenever I came out, I never made like a huge announcement. Like I didn't post it anywhere, you know. I was posting like pictures with me shirtless with like very hot guys, you know, like it was pretty obvious in your face. But I told the people that I felt the need to tell. I always wanted to tell my mom, obviously, Then like these like friends coming to visit me in New York. I had cousins. Like then I started like telling people, like my siblings, but I never felt the need to announce my sexuality to the world, you know. But yeah, it's very funny. Um, but some people got very triggered by this because I know some people really struggled with whenever they came out, and I'm sorry for that. Like I'm sorry that that happened to them, but I feel like sometimes people think of me and they think like, oh, this guy hasn't suffered a day in his life, which is not the reality at all. But yeah, I never felt the need to really explain my sexuality to anyone. I feel like I wanted to tell my mom because I feel like I didn't want her to just start hearing stories about me and just her denying it. I wanted to tell her personally, for example, and then I started like telling more family members. But yeah, I mean, there's many people that I never like sit them down to tell them about it. You know, like I just like kept living my life, and I prefer much more to come out in a way. I just don't want it to be like a big thing. You know, we're humanity is more evolved now. We shouldn't be like making this like big statement that you like guys. You know, um, but I had a friend, for example, that he felt the need to invite all his classmates in like a barbecue, and then he made like a big announcement, hey, I'm gay, you know. Like if that was helpful for him, great. I know someone also that she made like a Facebook post to basically come out to everyone, and if she needed to do that, that's great. But I don't feel like I need to explain my sexuality to everyone. And just the way I live, it's pretty obvious, you know? But yeah, I never like sit my grandma and told her about it, you know? I I don't feel the need to do that, you know? And I feel like in a way people know. I feel like people that know you, they know. But yeah, many times I came out to people just saying like I like this guy now, you know, and that's how they found out. Like I don't like to me it's much more subtle and like casual way to explain your sexuality without explaining it, you know. You're like, yeah, I'm liking this guy now, you know. But yeah, it's crazy how this drama that I experienced started like way after I came out. It's crazy to me how people started to making rumors that I was closeted, that I had internalized homophobia, all these things. And it kept escalating after that, getting worse and worse. People were saying that now I was a Republican and I was a racist, and it just kept escalating. And that's the thing, like, these people are so sure that they know about you. They are so things that they're so sure that they figure you out. The people doing the gossip, the people talking shit about you. But yeah, at this point in my life, people really started to get all up in my business, talking about private stuff and what I do intimately with someone. It was getting out of hand. People started not just to talk, but to invade my private life. And throat chakra opening. But yeah, I feel like the reason why it became such a toxic environment for me because I feel like, I mean, later I decided to go back to Paraguay, which is where I'm from, just for a little bit. I never wanted to live there, but I had to go there just for a little bit. And the reason why I didn't care so much about going back to Paraguay, and like even though there's always like rumors and like gossip and like especially at that time, people are just like he's gay or like you know, like it's very surface level. But in New York, people were like going all up in your business, like private life, and that's what it really. I felt I had no sense of privacy. I was living with a roommate that was like kind of like friends with all of these people, and I felt so invaded. But yeah, just the way people talk about me and how they made fun of me, it was just so denigrating and dehumanizing even. But yeah, it escalated so much. And one of these things were that someone started saying that I liked something sexually. And to me, like, if I like something sexually, I'm super open. I will own it. You know, I own everything I like sexually. And there's nothing wrong with liking this thing sexually, nothing wrong against it. I just don't like it. But yeah, I was like starting to hear all this kind of stuff, and like, if someone talk about like stuff that I like sexually, at least they should talk about something that I'm into so that I can expect that. But this was like something that I was not even into. And I know this guy, I know he felt rejected and he was pissed at me. And I think in a way he thought this situation he would basically be getting back at me or something. But yeah, I feel like whenever we're intimate with someone, sometimes we have these desires. This person had these desires, and we kind of, I mean, you cannot be like completely selfish to whenever you're intimate with someone. So you're like trying to find like a middle ground, you know? I don't want to get too much into this, but like, yeah, I basically like did this thing with this guy because I knew he really liked this. But he exaggerated the story so much, and it's just so personal. And I feel like what really bothers me is that there were so many lies about it. And after that, I completely saw the shift in the energy of how people treated me. And with these people starting to say that I was fake and that I was all of this. But the good thing about all of this, looking back, any experience had the potential for you to alchemize that, you know, not wasting that energy, but alchemizing it. And yeah, this experience, I feel like, even though they were like saying that I was fake and all of this, and which were not true, there were some fake areas in my life, you know, areas in my life where I was not being authentic or, yeah, being true to myself. I mean, just look at the kind of people that I was surrounding myself with. I was not respecting myself. I was allowing all of this. People were showing me right in my face who they were, and I didn't cut them out immediately. Like there is some truth in it, you know? Like it's really like an opportunity to for you to go deeper. And even though there were so many things that were not true, people saying that like, oh, he's fake. There's some, I mean, there were areas in my life where I was like, yeah, this is, I'm not, you know, like parts of me that were like very people pleaser, you know, and very like too attached to how other people perceived me and how other people felt about me. And yeah, like that, all that like came to light, you know? But yeah, coming back to this rumor that people started to say that I had internalized homophobia, that I was fake about my sexuality or my masculinity or like all of this, it's just crazy to me how I was seeing in my reality just situations, just weird situations showing up in my reality, confirming all these people, their beliefs they had of me. But yeah, after that, I came to New York for a few days and I stayed at a friend's apartment. I mean, they were friends back then. And we had to go to my room to get something. And there was this noise from the clipper that I used to shave my beard. And this just shows you how the beliefs this person had of me. And they always kind of like give me this like sassy energy, like you're not being true, you know, like this like kind of like dismissive kind of energy that like I don't know how to explain it. But basically we went to my room and we both heard this noise, and this guy thought that he started laughing because he thought it was a vibrator. You know, and it's like, and it was just my clipper, but like this just shows me how like it was just so obvious how people see you, you know. You think they think you're this like fake ass person that it's trying to pretend something they're not. And it's just, these situations just, to me, just shows how these people really see you, you know. They don't see you as authentic. They think you're lying. They think you're, I don't know, but like a lot of the time it's also projections, like people, how they feel about themselves. It's also showing up as how they see you. Yeah, I mean, it was just a very interesting time to see all these situations showing up in my reality. But yeah, with these situations, people are just so up in your business and they want to know who you have sex with, which is crazy. Like, why do people care who you have sex with? I'm single, they're single. Why it matters? But yeah, I remember like whenever I was seeing this, my reality shift, like all these people, like how they all changed the way that they treated me. I confronted someone and I was like, because people never like, there was not one person that told me this is what's happening. Like, I had to like figure out, like, people just like give me like these petty comments, these things. And I confronted someone and I was like, what the is happening? And he basically told me, nobody cares about you. He told me, like, let me tell you in the best way, nobody cares about you. This was coming from the same people that were talking about me, and I would just overhear them talking about me. Like, they think that they would just be talking behind my back, but like I would hear them and they would get all up in my business and in my private life, like invading my private life. And the thing is like, and then and that's the craziest thing, like people like do this and they would like deny it after, they would after gaslight me telling me that I'm crazy. But yeah, I also agree that just everyone is just thinking about themselves all the time, that not everything is about you, obviously, but two truths can be true at once. People love gossiping about, if they know that something is going on, and like they love to talk about it. It's true. Like, I've seen it. I see how they talk about other people. I see it happen, and these people deny about it. And I do think a big part of it, it's like they just love talking about other people because they're so bored with their own lives. And with this, that like people are always just thinking about themselves, that's not completely true. There's so many people that are just like put all their focus on other people. This is why like they're so disconnected from themselves, because they're putting all their focus onto others. And just look at celebrities, like all these like celebrity gossips and like all these things that like, I mean, if you just look at the media, but just like people being so involved into other people's private life, it's like, I mean, it is a thing. Just look at celebrities, like people are being so involved in like what is happening with them, what is happening in their private life, their private affairs, who they broke up with. Like, people care about this stuff. And there's even people making videos about like celebrity gossip and how they think, like. But yeah, to me, like this rumor about like me having internalized homophobia and like all of this that kept escalating, people really think that they figure you out. They really think that they know you, and they just keep saying stuff that they don't even know about. And but yeah, I remember I quit my job and I had to go back to Paraguay. And honestly, like my mental health was a mess after all this like chaos and drama and gossip. And I had this person told me like, "Oh, you're going back to Paraguay right before Pride, huh?" Like kind of like if they know what's going on in your life, like if they really know about it. They had no idea what I was going through. And the craziest thing is that with this person, I thought he was a friend, and I told him how I was having so much anxiety and how I didn't know if I could even trust anyone. And that's the craziest thing. Like, whenever you tell someone that you're in a low point, sometimes they just add more fuel to the fire. It's crazy. But yeah, I always been a person that can feel the energy in the room. Like, I've always been very sensitive to energy. And but yeah, I remember I was feeling this switch in the energy of how people perceive you. And I know it's not the first time. I mean, I remember this happened to me in high school. I remember that very well. And the thing is, like, now I was fully aware of what was going on. Like, once you become more observant about your environment, easier to see. But just as an example, think about someone in your life that you know that people started to talk bad about. Did it change your perception of how you saw them? Like sometimes that tends to enter our subconscious and it changes the way in how we see that person. So we should also try to be more aware and try to not cage a person from their reality that they're already trapped in. You cannot be in an environment where people see you in a bad way. You would only reflect that back to people. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's your friend, like close friends. And once you become aware of this, yeah, I feel like you need to be strong enough to leave that environment. Sometimes that means starting again. But yeah, it was really in like a party setting that I had these realizations, because I feel like, I mean, I was like high on many of them. And that's whenever you realize how, whenever you are high, you become not so much in control of your reality and you become everyone else's reality. And I don't know, like I was like starting to see how other people see you. And this was one of the reasons why I decided to become sober, because I feel like once we don't once we're not in control of our reality, we become everyone else's perceptions of us, and we kind of become slaves of their perception. And even though you're not this person, you become this huge distortion. After all of this, I think a lot of people just love chaos. They just thrive in making other people's lives miserable. I did notice these months in my life how my energy just, I feel like I was like vibrating at a really high frequency and I dropped my vibration so much. I felt that during those months. And I also like thought about how people that do this, that like gossip so much and just like live in this chaos, um, maybe they are not even aware that they live in a really low vibration because that's what they have always known. And me dropping from here to here, I was like super aware of it and I was like, this feels horrible, you know? But there's people that like if they're always being here or here, um that's all they ever known. And I think that a lot of these that continue to do this, um they don't know the difference, so that's why they keep doing it, because that's all they ever known. And I was like feeling it in my body, in my state of being. Nothing is worth feeling like that. I feel like for some people that they are just like, this is how they live their lives, this constant gossiping and talking shit about people and like feeling fear in the body and just like contraction, and like maybe that's this like anxiety, like full anxiety, that maybe that's how they've always been. And they don't know the difference of how it is to not be that way. Coming back to the gossip, I think it's ignorance. I think if people really knew that them being unconscious, their unconscious talking, how much it affects other people, they wouldn't be doing it. And yeah, I mean, I feel like in this life, we're either accumulating good karma or bad karma for the next one. So, I mean, this is how I look at life, and I really believe this is how it is. And if that's the case, what are we doing? Like, gossiping is witchcraft. You are murdering that person's reputation. You are speaking curses on their life. You are distorting the way in how other people perceive that person because of the way of how you wanted it to look like. But yeah, that first half of 2024, I saw this huge shift in how 95% of the people that knew me back then, how their energy shift on me. And now, to be fair, I am very grateful because it really showed me who these people were. Like it really showed me that as soon as it is not convenient for them to be my friend, they would switch up on you. So that was really good to see that truth. And this always starts with one person and then becomes two, three, four, and your circle becomes a cage. After this experience, I learned to be really careful about that friend that tries to be friends with everyone and that tries to take control over the narrative, you know? Like, to me, it was like a very, like a wake up call, you know, like the social climber. To me, the most craziest thing, it's like how other people don't see it, you know? I feel like, I mean, I see through them and it's so obvious, you know? And I wanted to go more in depth about it later. But yeah, it's very interesting to me how so many people like do not see it. But I also believe that the more and more people wake up, the more people start to realize people's true intentions. But also at the same time, I feel like manipulators and like this type of people becomes better at their game. So it's harder to know. But like these people, some of these people that I knew back then in New York, I was picking up about it, and I was kind of like bringing light to this darkness. But that's the thing, I don't think people are self-aware enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna look into my darkness. I feel like the way that a lot of people approach this, like, nope, I'm not gonna look into that, I'm gonna build more walls, you know, more walls, not looking at their shadow. But energy doesn't lie. But to me, the craziest thing about a lot of people have been through the same thing that I have been just previously. And a lot of them just decided to take the side of the abusers. And they were telling me that I just take everything so seriously, that no one's talking about me, that, you know, like that I'm just making it a big deal. People were being so dismissive. I felt so alone back then. Whenever I would bring this up, they would be like, "Oh, it's all in your head," but like you see it. Like, I don't know, but I feel like for them it would be like a hard thing to admit. But yeah, yeah, just the way people were being so dismissive. Like a lot of people like giving you a lot of trauma, siphoning your energy, but still like, no, you are the one taking it too seriously. You are the one being too sensitive. Like, it's not a big deal minimizing the situation. It's crazy. I knew some people that were seeing the level of trauma that I was going through and seeing how people were intentionally towards me, and the humiliation, all the like making fun of, but still they decided to participate, to join them. To me, it was so disappointing, you know? But yeah, some would dismiss it, some would join them, some would ridicule me, others would gaslight me, telling me, nothing's happening, it's all in your head, everything's perfect. I heard that so many times, and it was like so clear in the energy that it wasn't that way, you know? This thing was escalating so much, and I saw that people were shaming me for my mental health. What's crazy is that at this point in my life, I was starting to have a lot of anxiety, and I was feeling so good before this, like so good, but I was having a lot of like social anxiety, and then just all this anxiety that I haven't feel since I was like in school, you know? And most of the people thought that I was crazy. And the thing is, like, there were people like being so just like, you know, like I remember this guy told me like there was like a pregame in my apartment, and my roommate was friends of all these people. I decided not to go out that night. Also, like during all this experience, this was a part in my life that I really stepped back from partying. I was not, I mean, look at the situations, I was not enjoying being around this type of people, you know? And I remember this guy always hated me. This guy hated my guts since the beginning. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But he was in my apartment, and this guy like sat next to me, and he like looked at me with like a smile. I could see like he was like happy that I was like in a low point in my life. And he looks at me and he was like, "How are you really doing?" He like kind of smiles. Yeah, this is the type of people that I'm talking about. It's crazy. But I had this other guy that it's considered a comedian. He told me, please don't kill yourself. Kind of like a funny joke, you know? But yeah, I was telling people how bad my mental health was going, and I thought they were friends, but they just kept like putting more fuel to the fire. It really showed me how these people were. But yeah, to me, this was a time that I was seeing some people that I thought were family, you know, like friends back then that I had so much love for. And yeah, I had so many disappointments. So many disappointments. I remember this guy that he just kept being super dismissive about everything that I was going through, and like cuz he was friends with all these people, you know, like all these people that were horrible, like he was friends with them, and he was ended up being horrible too. But I was like telling this, and I was like, we were talking about this specific person. I was like, you don't believe me, but like this person, and he's like, he's doing all this stuff, and he was like, oh yeah, he's a bitch. He's best friends with this person, you know, like he knows what he's doing, and he's like, still like this is their normal. Like that's the thing that it was like a shock to me. These are these people's normal. These are their normal in their standards, you know. This is the normal in their all their friendships. It's crazy. This is just like a up view of seeing life. And I had this other person telling me like, yeah, what do you expect? Like we're not in Kansas anymore because I went to college in Kansas. But still it's like if they are like normalizing this type of behavior, you know, it's like you are the one that is just taking it too seriously, you know. It's so fucked up. But yeah, this experience also taught me that you have to be so present within yourself. I remember whenever I used to be around these people, how my energy would change, how I would, it's so weird, but like I felt so out of my body. I felt like I couldn't be myself, you know. At this point, I couldn't be my true self, you know, around them. For some reason, it's like it was impossible to be myself around them. And it's funny how whenever you go through like people starting to say rumors, like you start to gain a bad reputation. It's funny how like all these people come up and it's like, oh, I always knew there was something bad about him. I always have this, like I always have this feeling about him. Like all these people now like talking that about you. It's very interesting how like now that like when your reputation is down, everyone has something to say about you. It's funny how whenever you start showing weakness in any way in your life, how all these people, I mean, you're in a vulnerable state now, and how all these people go against you. I was surprised of seeing how many people were so happy to see me like low, you know? That was very, yeah, all these people were like, oh, I always knew he was so fake, you know? And the thing is, like, whenever so many people start thinking this way about you, if it's like 10, 20, 30, like, that's okay. But like, whenever it becomes like a big number, so many people thinking this about you, you start to, I feel like if you're in a vulnerable place within yourself, you start thinking, wait, what if I am the problem? What if all these people are right and I'm the problem? What if there's something wrong with me, you know? Like it really affected my psyche. But now I realize I have been clocking these people. When you feel a weird energy about someone, how someone is being kind of like dismissive, or if they kind of like give you these like shady comments, believe them when they do this, you know? Not because the next time they're gonna be like, hi, how are you? Good to see you. It means that that's the true version of them. They show you who they were. Like they show you who they were. And just looking back, I felt really ashamed of myself for kind of like seeing how people were and still like trying to believe the best in them. I feel like it's this part of myself that wants to just be in harmony with everyone, but it comes from like a kind of like a people pleaser place. But yeah, when so many people start believing something about you, it's hard for you to not start believing in them too. And this thing really affected me psychologically. Like I started to think like, what if I'm crazy actually? Like what if I'm the weirdo actually? Like this weirdo. And the things like I feel like I am a weirdo, but not in the way that they think that I'm a weirdo, you know? To me, a behavior that was really interesting about this time, and I saw it in multiple people doing the same thing. And it's kind of like this playing this mind game that they kind of like plan something to make you feel bad about it, you know? And like many people say this same thing to you, you know, use these same words, and it's they think it's like so funny, like being like this shady. To me, it's like so insane how many people like even like scheme to try to make you feel bad about something. It's crazy. Yeah, you also realize that you don't want to be around people that stab each other in the back, people that are all competitive towards each other, that they, I'm sure like all of this friend group, like they think that they are like a community, but they, a lot of them all hate each other, like in the same group, like they fight against it. Like I feel like if you live in chaos all your life, you, that's all you know, you know? And something I realized about myself thanks to this experience is that I only want genuine, confident people in my life, people that don't want to, you know, I don't want any more like jealous, competitive friends, like bad vibes, weird energy. If it's not like, if it's not like genuine, authentic friendships, that's it. I don't want it then. That's all I want. It also made me realize a lot about these people in this group, and not just in the group, but just like in this entire environment, is that everyone was like taking notes, you know? Because I took all this thing very seriously. I was taking my life too seriously. I was going through like a visa situation. I was taking my job too seriously. But at the same time, many things were very up, you know? And it's very funny how like how a lot of people are seeing this and they're like taking notes, and you would see it after like they would say something and like they would act more like they don't care, or like, oh yeah, but I just don't take myself too seriously, you know? It was just so funny because it was just so in your face. But yeah, it was very funny to me seeing people how they would take notes of this, like what not to do, how not to behave, almost like kids, you know? This is how you're not supposed to be. So like I saw like how people were like, okay, I'm gonna be the opposite, but it was just so obvious. The thing is that I used to be someone that really used to think, I don't give a about anything. I don't care about my reputation. But the thing is that the more I learn about this, like it really affects you, you know, like gossip and like all this talking really affects you. And I want to start having conversations about this. I saw my reality getting so much worse, you know? I saw this like magnifying and this monster that they were creating, this like, I hated this version of myself that I was seeing so clearly how people would seeing me, you know? And that's the thing too, like you go to events, you go to parties, and all these people now have perceptions of you. Like they're like, even people that don't even know you already have their mindsets about you. So it kind of like leaves you in like a cage. And I even remember I later went to this music festival in Europe, another continent, and there was this random girl that, but I mean, I was like seeing also there how like people were talking like, what is he doing here? Like being dismissive. I remember seeing this DJ like talking to some of my friends back then, and he was like, what is he doing here, basically? And this girl also like she gave me like the middle finger out of nowhere, you know. But like, yeah, people are like, oh, you're just taking it too seriously. Like, I'm seeing it in my reality, how everything's changing. At the same time, I know not everything is about me, but I mean, people do gossip, and gossip spreads really fast, and it really affects other people's lives. People that don't even know you start to create this idea of who you are before they even know you. To me, it's crazy how much all of this escalated. Not just like with the amount of people, but also like the things that they were saying and the projections that I was getting. And this is why it's so important to not listen to these voices, to not pay attention to them. You know your truth, you know your intention. That's the kind of state of being that we need to be so grounded on, that we know who we are and we don't care about what other people think of us, you know? And at that point in my life, if I would have go back, I would have completely remove myself from that as soon as I can, you know? Like as soon as you see people doing that, having that kind of behavior, leave. But yeah, all these things that were happening to me, I feel like this connection from ourselves leads to self-destruction. And you lose your center, you lose your connection to source, you know? Because you're putting your attention somewhere else, not on you. You're paying all your attention on all the things that they're saying, and we have to be so focused on us and be so grounded in our frame of reality, you know? The rest is like, we don't care about the rest. You are not supposed to let the external tell you who you are. So it's important not to fall into this trap. This is why one should never be attached to the opinions and the criticism of other people. But at the same time, one should also never be attached to the praise of others. If you're attached to people liking you, then you're gonna suffer if whenever these people switch up on you, you know? Whenever they go against you, you're gonna suffer. And I love the book The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's basically not to gossip or not to be affected by gossip in a nutshell. Be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and do your best. Be impeccable with your word, say only what you mean. The book literally says avoid using the word to speak against yourself or gossip about others. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. That's saying that's their stuff, not yours. Don't make assumptions. We shouldn't jump into conclusions. I feel like we should have the courage to ask what we want to ask. And always do your best. Do people really think that whenever they are gossiping that they are being the highest version of themselves? And yeah, I don't think anything that I'm saying here is like new. And all this wisdom has been here forever. And this is why I wanted to bring up the Rosenthal effect. It shouldn't be to be scared that this is the reality, but this knowing about this psychological phenomenon really helps you to bring awareness to this, and so you can be centered in the face of drama and gossip and just people coming after you, you know? So yeah, with all these situations, I decided to quit my job and leave New York. And it was probably one of the hardest decisions I ever made, but it was the probably the best decision I ever made. Just how it redirected my life. I saw that my life was going to like a kind of like I saw if I stay there, I saw no light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know how else to say it, but yeah, it was really after that. It was really redirection. I feel like this happens to so many people, and just a lot of people are just not aware of this. And yeah, just like their circle gets so infected. Like, yeah, sometimes you just have to make the change that environment, you know? I feel like sometimes an environment is just like poisoned for you. And yeah, I feel like so my image was so infected by so many people, even people that I didn't even know, honestly. Sometimes it's good to just start fresh again. I remember I was talking to my childhood friend, like a really good friend from Paraguay, and she was so sweet. I was telling her about some of these situations that just all of these situations that I experienced. And she was like, I wish you could see how other people see you, you know? Like, I don't know, like, I feel like sometimes that's what you need to hear, you know, that there's still people that don't see you with with those distorted lenses, you know, like that was very refreshing to hear. And even though I feel like this situation made me lose hope for people and lose hope for humanity even, I feel like later I started to meet amazing people that really made me believe again, in people and in the goodness of humanity. But yeah, to me the bright side about all this like negative experience is that we have the power to alchemize all of this. And the thing is like I this is how I see it. I was being very confident back then. I was really in a good place within my life. I went down, I was like I went like in darkness. And then like the true level of confidence that I have now, it's way higher than what I was that I thought was like my confidence. I feel like sometimes these experiences take you lower, but you have the opportunity to elevate even higher. And I feel like today my confidence it comes from a much truer place. Like today I really don't care about what people think, and I am not attached to validation or if that person doesn't like me. Like I wouldn't be making this video right now if I still was in that place. And also like letting go of those people that are not meant for you, you will then attract the people that are truly meant for you. But yeah, I truly believe that in the future, just people are gonna live much more consciously in the way they speak and the way just more aware in how you are affecting others with your actions. I also do believe that like in the future gossiping is going to be very frowned upon. I feel like people are going to be like, "You like they still gossip. They still do that." It's going to be like today's age of like, "You are they still racist? Are they still homophobic?" Like I feel like it's going to be like that basically. And again, this video is not to shame anyone. Everyone is where they need to be in their evolution. But, and also like, I have done it, you have done it. I feel like once you know it, you know better, you know? It's just becoming aware of this. So yeah, this is why I always say that we should focus in our lives, not in the lives of others. And also like, I feel like some people, even like their unconscious talking, sometimes they don't even realize that they are affecting another person's reality. Do you know that saying? I've been thinking about this saying lately. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I feel like some people think that them talking about them worrying about this person, that this is like coming from a good place. It's not. Like you are only creating a more undesirable reality for that person. And yeah, I feel like this is why what we need to do is to become more aware, not to pretend that we have good intentions, that our intention, no. Like, just be real with yourself. We all have gossip before at some point in our lives, but now we know better and we can stay conscious and realize whenever we're being drawn into a gossip in a conversation. And in the same way that we shouldn't gossip, we should also try to have a open mind about the people that had bad stuff said about them. Understanding that we don't know everything, not projecting onto that person whatever you heard about this person. The thing is like with gossiping, it says much more about the one doing the gossip than the one being talked about. Just pay attention to how the person doing the gossip is talking about it. Just pay attention in the way they talk about this gossip. It's usually like nasty, like denigrating. This says way more about the person gossiping than the person being talked about. And it's good to stay conscious of your limiting perception of that person, the person that you heard bad stuff about. Because I'm not saying they're innocent, but at least give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I feel like after this experience, I became much more empathetic about people that they had really bad stuff said about them. I feel like the way I approach these situations now, it's that I am much more like I am gonna meet them first and then I decide how I feel about them instead of immediately like trusting every gossip that I heard about them. These situations really limits them in their social lives and in their like making connections, and not just that but also on the self-worth and like their whole psyche, their mental health, it affects people. And yeah, you go to these spaces and people already made up their minds about you, not even giving you a chance to show who you are. But yeah, in the worst case scenarios, people even get anxiety and depression out of this. I was not the first person experiencing this type of gossip, betrayal, just like this, slander, and I'm not gonna be the last one too. And I also believe that sometimes we bring these experiences into our lives to heal from past lives, you know? I feel like me feeling like this feeling of being misunderstood comes from previous lifetimes, you know? This is just an opportunity for us to heal this wound in this one. That's what I believe. And this feeling of being even persecuted, I don't think this is the first life that I experience this, you know. This is why whenever we experience these type of things, it's probably not the first time that you have experienced it in this life, you know. It probably comes from like many things from childhood, even in your teenage years. I bet like you experience similar things. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this video with just how important mindfulness really is. And your job is not to control how other people perceive you. Your job is to be so centered and grounded with the truth of who you are that you are unshakable to all of this, you know? To be so centered within your own frame of reality that everything that is happening in the background, all the noise, all these things happening in the external, all these voices, like you leave no space for it to penetrate your frame of reality, you know? That's that's the goal. But yeah, keep being your true, authentic self and don't take on these other people's projections. Don't accept them as your own. And also not to be this polished or even a suppressed version of you. So let me know in the comments if you experience something similar in your life. And if you like this video, consider to like and subscribe for more. We'd love to have you around and keep it up. Peace.